"Your son doesn't even know you anymore," my wife said before admitting she'd been taking our kids to another man's house for months. Sleepless and shaking, I started digging, uncovered lies about her schedule, and something in the past made my blood run cold. Guys, I'm sitting here at 2 a.m., hands literally shaking as I type this. I can't sleep, can't think straight, and I honestly don't know if I'm losing my mind or if my life just completely fell apart in the span of 3 hours. My wife Claire just told me she's been having an affair. But that's not even the worst part. Wait, let me back up because this gets so much worse than I thought possible. I'm Benjamin, 34, electrical technician working 48 hours a week. 2 kids with Claire, Noah 2 and Sophie 8 months. Claire stays home, works part-time at a kid's store. So tonight I come home around 11 p.m. after a long shift fixing power lines in this damn Oregon rain. I'm soaked, exhausted, just want to see my family and crash. I walk into our living room and Claire's there folding laundry, giggling at her phone like a teenager. "Hey babe, how was your day?" I ask. She literally jumps and shoves the phone behind her back. Like, who does that? We've been married 6 years, I've never gone through her phone, never given her reason not to trust me. "Oh, I'm fine, just texting my mom." She won't look at me. I'm tired, so I let it slide. Go upstairs to check on the kids. Noah's asleep, but when I lean down to kiss his forehead, he doesn't even stir. Usually he wakes up and reaches for me, calls me Dada. Tonight, nothing. That's when Claire comes up behind me and says the words that are burned into my brain forever. "He doesn't even know you anymore, Benjamin. You're never here. Noah doesn't run to you when you come home anymore because you're basically a stranger to him." I turn around and she's standing there with this cold look I've never seen before. My heart just drops because she's not wrong. I work so much to pay for this house, our life, everything. I thought I was being a good provider. "Claire, I'm working for our family. Ben Carter works too, but he actually shows up for his daughter. He actually talks to her, plays with her. You just exist here." Ben Carter. I had no idea who that was 3 hours ago. Now I know he's the 36-year-old widowed dad she met at her mommy group. Now I know she's been taking my children to his house for playdates while I'm breaking my back to keep our lights on. Now I know my wife is in love with another man. The conversation that followed. God, I can't even. She didn't deny anything when I asked directly, just looked me in the eye and said, "You deserve this. Ben is more of a father than you'll ever be. He actually cares about Noah's development, helps with Sophie's feeding schedule. When's the last time you did any of that?" I just stood there like an idiot while she destroyed me with the truth. Because she's right, I don't know Noah's therapy schedule. I don't know when Sophie's next pediatrician appointment is. I come home tired, we eat dinner mostly in silence, kids go to bed and I collapse. But here's what really got me. She said she's been bringing my kids to this guy's house. And my baby daughter has been napping at another man's house while my wife, I can't even finish that thought. "How long?" I asked. 4 months. 4 months. Sophie was barely 4 months old when this started. My newborn daughter has spent more afternoon naps at this stranger's house than I probably spend with her in a week. Claire's now asleep in our guest room. I'm sitting here in our living room, looking at the family photos on the mantle, and I feel like I'm looking at strangers. Was I really that absent? Was I really that bad of a father and husband that she had to find someone else to fill my role? But also, was this really the solution? Taking our babies to another man's house while carrying on behind my back. I found myself going through our recent credit card statements. We share everything, always have. Coffee shops I've never been to, Target purchases on days she said she was just running quick errands. Gas station receipts from across town where that mommy group meets. The evidence has been right there this whole time and I was too tired and too trusting to see it. Reddit, I need brutal honesty here. Am I overreacting? I know I work a lot, I know I'm not the most emotionally available guy, but does that justify this? Does that justify her bringing our children into another relationship before even trying to fix ours? And what the hell do I do now? She says she wants to figure things out, but also that Ben isn't going anywhere. She's talking like I should just accept this, like I should be grateful someone else is picking up my slack as a father. I feel like my entire life was just revealed to be a lie. My kids barely know me, my wife loves someone else, and I'm sitting here wondering if I'm the villain in my own story. Part of me wants to drive over to this Ben guy's house right now and, I don't know what, beat the shit out of him, demand answers, but another part of me thinks maybe I deserve this. Maybe I really was that absent, that useless as a father and husband. I don't know what to think anymore. Has anyone been through something like this? How do you even begin to process that your entire family has essentially replaced you? Sorry this is so long. I just needed to get it out somewhere because I have nobody to talk to at 2 a.m. and this is eating me alive. Update 1. Hey Reddit. Benjamin here again. 2 weeks ago I posted about discovering my wife's affair and feeling like maybe I deserved it for being an absent father. After reading your comments and having some time to process. Holy shit, you guys were right. I was being manipulated hard. First, thank you to everyone who told me to stop blaming myself. I needed to hear that. Several of you messaged me asking if I was okay, and honestly, I wasn't. I barely ate for a week, called in sick to work 3 days, just sat around questioning everything about myself. But then my buddy Marcus came over, shout out to the commenter who said, "Call your most honest friend." Marcus is exactly that guy. He took one look at me and said, "Dude, you look like hell. What's really going on?" So I told him everything. And Marcus just stared at me for a long minute before saying, "Ben, you work 48 hours a week in dangerous conditions to support your family. You've never cheated, never hit anyone, never even raised your voice at Claire. And she's convinced you that you're the problem because you're not home enough. That's fucked up, man." Hearing it from someone else made something click. Marcus reminded me of things I'd forgotten about myself, like how I always get up with Sophie when she cries at night because Claire's a heavy sleeper. How I built Noah's entire playground in our backyard by myself last summer. How I've never missed a single doctor's appointment that I actually knew about. That last part got me thinking, how many appointments didn't I know about? So I started digging. And guys, what I found makes me physically nauseous. I went through our shared calendar, which Claire manages, and compared it to our credit card statements and her location data. We have shared location for safety, always have. Here's what I discovered. She's been lying about her work schedule. Her job has her working Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But her location shows her at Ben's house almost every Tuesday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. She's been telling me she picks up extra shifts. Besides, the mommy group is bullshit. I reached out to Jessica, another mom she's mentioned, just to ask about the group schedule. Jessica was confused. She said Claire stopped coming to the group meetings back in August. That's a month before the affair supposedly started. Moreover, my kids have been at this guy's house a lot. Looking at her location data, Claire has been at Ben's address sometimes 3-4 times per week, for hours at a time, with Noah and Sophie, and she's been spending our money on him. Not just coffee dates. I found charges for men's clothing at stores Claire never shops at. A $89 charge at a sporting goods store on a day she said she was buying Noah new shoes. But here's the thing that made me actually throw up. I found out Ben Carter's address through public records. His ex-wife died in a car accident 2 years ago. His daughter Emma is 5. I drove by his house yesterday just to, I don't know, see where my kids have been spending their time. It's this nice little craftsman house with a blue front door. And there's a sandbox in the front yard that's clearly meant for multiple kids. It's huge, has different sections. And there's 2 small bikes on the porch, 2 Emma's and one that's the perfect size for Noah. This man has set up his home for my children. I just sat in my car across the street for 10 minutes, staring at that sandbox, trying not to completely lose it. My son has been playing there while I'm at work thinking I'm providing for him. My baby daughter has been napping in another man's house more than her own. The worst part. When I got home, Noah was sitting in our living room with his little toy trucks, and I asked him, "Noah, do you like playing at Emma's house?" He lit up. "Emma house, big sandbox, Ben nice." My 2-year-old son has been coached to call another man by his first name. This guy has been playing father to my children for months. That night I confronted Claire again. Told her I knew about the lies, about how often she's really been there, about the money she's spending. Her response: "I didn't want to hurt you, but Ben and I are planning a future together. The kids love it there." Noah's speech has actually improved since he's been around Ben more. Ben talks to him constantly, reads to him, plays educational games. Like a knife to the chest. She's telling me another man is better for my son's development than I am. Claire, these are my children. You can't just move them into another man's life without talking to me. You're never available to talk, Benjamin. You work, you eat, you sleep. Ben and I talk for hours. He knows everything about Noah's therapy, about Sophie's sleep schedule, about what they need. When's the last time you had a real conversation with Noah? I couldn't answer that, because she's right, I don't talk to Noah much. He's two, he barely talks back, and after 10-hour workdays I'm exhausted. But apparently Ben, the perfect father figure, has been having deep conversations with my toddler while I'm literally keeping the power on in our town. The conversation ended with Claire saying she wants a separation. She wants to move in with Ben temporarily and take the kids because they're more comfortable there anyway. I told her absolutely not. That's when she said something that made my blood run cold. Benjamin, I've been documenting how absent you are for months. Ben has been more involved in their daily care than you have. If this goes to court, do you really think you'll win custody against an involved mother and her supportive partner versus a father who works 50-plus hours a week and barely knows his children's schedules? She's been planning this. The affair wasn't some accident or moment of weakness. She's been strategically building a case against me while building a new life with Ben Carter. And the fucking worst part, she might be right. I don't know Noah's pediatrician's name. I don't know what days he has speech therapy. I've never been to a mommy group event. On paper, I probably do look like an absent father, but I've been working my ass off to support the family while she's been playing house with someone else, using my children as accessories to her new relationship. I'm meeting with a lawyer tomorrow. Marcus found me a guy who specializes in fathers' rights cases. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I can't just let her take my kids and move them in with her boyfriend like I'm some deadbeat who doesn't matter. Reddit, I'm scared. What if she's right? What if I really have been such a shitty father that another man stepping in is actually better for my kids? What if I fight this and lose everything? But also, what if I don't fight and lose everything anyway? More updates to come. This is far from over. Update 2, it's been a month since my last update and so much has happened. For those just joining, my wife Claire was having an affair with Ben Carter, taking our kids Noah, 2, and Sophie, 9 months, to his house constantly, and threatening to take them permanently because I work too much. I met with the lawyer. Best decision I've ever made. David Chen specializes in fathers' rights, and the first thing he said was, "Benjamin, stop calling yourself an absent father. You work 48 hours a week in essential services to support your family. You've never been arrested, never missed child support, never been accused of abuse. We're going to show the court exactly what's been happening here. Here's what we did, and guys, the evidence we gathered is insane. First, the financial stuff. Remember how I found charges for men's clothing? It gets worse. David had me print out 6 months of credit card statements, and we highlighted every charge that didn't make sense. Claire has spent almost $2,400 of our money on Ben Carter. Clothes, dinners, groceries she claimed were for us but were obviously for him, even a $180 charge at a toy store the same day she said we were too broke for Noah's speech therapy co-pay. She's been funding her affair with money I earned working overtime. Second, the documentation trail. David advised me to start keeping a detailed log of everything. Every time I came home and the kids weren't there. Every time Claire said she was somewhere but her location showed she was at Ben's. Every interaction I had with Noah and Sophie, with timestamps. The results were staggering. In the past month, Claire had the kids at Ben's house 23 separate times, 23 times in 4 weeks. My children were spending more waking hours at another man's house than their own. But here's where it gets nuclear. David suggested we hire a private investigator. I thought that seemed extreme, but he said, "Benjamin, she's threatening to relocate your children to another man's house permanently. We need to know everything about this Ben Carter. Best $800 I've ever spent." The pie came back with information that made my jaw hit the floor. Ben Carter isn't just some innocent widowed dad. His wife didn't die in a car accident 2 years ago, she died in a car accident 18 months ago. And according to the police report, they were separated at the time. She was living with her sister and had filed a domestic violence report against Ben 3 months before she died. The report was dropped because she died before it could be investigated. His daughter Emma, she's been staying with Ben's ex-mother-in-law most weeknights because of behavioral issues at school. According to school records, Emma has been acting out severely since starting kindergarten, hitting other kids, explosive tantrums, regression in potty training. This man Claire thinks is the perfect father figure can't even handle his own 3-year-old daughter. But wait, it gets worse. The pie also found out that Ben was fired from his job at a construction company 8 months ago for interpersonal conflicts with management. He's been unemployed this entire time, living off his dead wife's life insurance money. So while I'm working 48-hour weeks to support my family, Claire has been taking my children to spend time with an unemployed man with a history of domestic violence allegations, and a daughter who's so troubled she can't live with him full time. When I showed Claire this information, her reaction told me everything I needed to know. "You had him investigated. Benjamin, that's psychotic, you're stalking us. Claire, you were planning to move our children in with him, shouldn't I know who they'd be living with? Ben told me about Sarah's accident, and Emma's just going through a phase, you're twisting everything to make him look bad. He told you about the domestic violence report too?" Silence. She didn't know about that one. "Claire, did you know he's been unemployed for 8 months? Did you know Emma doesn't live with him because she's having behavioral problems?" More silence. That's when she broke down and admitted something that made me see red. "I was trying to help him. He needs someone who believes in him. You don't understand what it's like to lose someone." She wasn't just having an affair. She was trying to save this guy. My wife has a savior complex, and she's been using my children as props in her rescue fantasy while spending my money to fund it. The conversation that followed was brutal. I asked her directly, "Claire, if Ben is such a perfect father, why doesn't his own daughter live with him full time?" "It's temporary. He's working through some things." "What things?" "The unemployment, the domestic violence allegations, the fact that he can't handle his own kid." That's when she said something I'll never forget. "At least he's trying to be better. At least he talks to them. You just criticize everything I do, but you never actually parent them yourself." I looked at her, really looked at her, and I realized she genuinely believes that an unemployed man with a history of violence who can't handle his own child is a better father than me because he talks to my toddler more. The delusion is staggering. Here's where I made my decision. I told Claire she has two choices: end the relationship immediately and commit to marriage counseling, or I'm filing for divorce and fighting for primary custody with everything I've got. Her response: "File away. Ben and I are moving in together next month whether you like it or not, and the kids are coming with me." So I filed. The emergency custody hearing is next week. David says we have a strong case: financial impropriety, exposing children to an inappropriate relationship, planning to relocate children without consent, and now evidence that Ben Carter is potentially dangerous. But here's what's really eating at me. Noah has started having nightmares. He wakes up crying "Dada," and when I go to comfort him, he seems confused, like he doesn't understand why I'm there instead of Ben. Sophie has stopped reaching for me when I come home from work. She used to light up when she saw me. Now she just stares like I'm a stranger. Claire has spent 4 months systematically replacing me in my children's lives, and it's working. My own kids are more comfortable with her affair partner than with their actual father. The lawyer says this actually helps our case. It shows parental alienation. But it doesn't help the fact that my heart breaks every time my son calls out for someone else in the middle of the night. Reddit: I'm about to walk into a courtroom and fight for my children against a woman who's convinced she's protecting them from me and in favor of a man who might be dangerous. If I lose this, Ben Carter becomes the primary male figure in my children's lives. If I win, I have to rebuild relationships with kids who barely know me while their mother resents me for destroying her happiness. There's no version of this that doesn't end with someone being devastated. I just have to make sure it's not my children. Hearing is Tuesday. We'll update after that. Wish me luck. I'm going to need it. Update 3 Reddit. I'm sitting here in my living room watching Noah build a tower with blocks while Sophie naps in her crib upstairs, and I still can't believe how this all turned out. For those just joining this nightmare, my wife Claire had been having an affair with Ben Carter, taking our kids to his house constantly, spending our money on him, and planning to move in with him permanently. I discovered Ben had domestic violence allegations, was unemployed, and couldn't even handle his own daughter full time. The custody hearing was 3 weeks ago. What happened there? Guys, I still get chills thinking about it. The courtroom showdown was unreal. David, my lawyer, came prepared with everything: financial records, location data, the PI report, testimony from Noah's speech therapist about missed appointments, even statements from other moms in the mommy group Claire had stopped attending months ago. Claire's lawyer tried to paint me as the absent workaholic father. "Your Honor, Mr. Clark works excessive hours and has little involvement in his children's daily care." Ms. Clark has been providing a stable, nurturing environment with the support of Mr. Carter, who has taken an active role in the children's development. Then David stood up. "Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence Exhibit A, 6 months of credit card statements showing Ms. Clark spent $2,400 of marital funds on her affair partner, while claiming they couldn't afford their son's therapy co-pays. The judge's eyebrows shot up. Exhibit B, location data showing Ms. Clark took the children to Mr. Carter's residence 47 times in the past 2 months, often during times she claimed to be working or attending support groups she had actually stopped attending. Claire went pale. And Exhibit C, police reports and employment records showing Mr. Carter was unemployed during the entire affair, had domestic violence allegations from his deceased wife, and currently cannot maintain custody of his own daughter due to behavioral issues. The silence in that courtroom was deafening. Claire's lawyer literally shuffled through papers like he was looking for something to object to. But the moment that sealed it, David called Noah's speech therapist as a witness. Mrs. Rodriguez testified that Noah had missed 6 appointments in the past 3 months because mom forgot or something came up. But in the past month, since I started taking him myself, he hadn't missed a single one and was making rapid progress. In my professional opinion, she said, Noah responds very well to consistent, calm parenting. He needs stability and routine, not constant changes in caregivers. The judge asked Claire directly, Ms. Clark, can you explain why you were taking the children to Mr. Carter's home multiple times per week without your husband's knowledge? Claire's response was everything wrong with her mindset in one sentence. Your Honor, Ben was providing emotional support that Benjamin couldn't. The children were happier there. Happier according to whom? According to me, and to Ben. Did you consult with pediatricians, therapists, or other professionals about what would make the children happier? Silence. Did you attempt marriage counseling or other interventions before pursuing this relationship? More silence. And you were planning to relocate the children to Mr. Carter's home permanently. We were planning to provide them with a stable, loving environment with a father figure who was actually present. Wrong answer. The judge's expression shifted completely. Ms. Clark, these children already have a father who has been financially supporting them while working in essential services. You've been unilaterally deciding to replace him with an unemployed man who has concerning background information. That is not your decision to make. The ruling blew my mind. Primary physical custody to me. Claire gets supervised visitation for the first 3 months, then gradual transition to every other weekend. She's required to complete parenting classes and individual counseling before unsupervised overnight visits. Ben Carter is prohibited from any contact with my children for a minimum of 1 year. Claire has to pay me child support, not much, since she only works part-time, but the principle matters. And here's the kicker. The judge ordered Claire to reimburse me the $2,400 she spent on Ben from our joint account. But the real victory isn't the legal stuff. The real victory is what's happened since Claire moved out. Noah's nightmares stopped within a week. He's back to running to me when I come home from work, calling me Dada with that huge smile that melts my heart. His speech therapist says he's made more progress in 3 weeks than in the previous 3 months. Sophie is reaching for me again, giggling when I make faces at her, falling asleep in my arms like she used to. I've restructured my work schedule to be home by 6 p.m. every day. I take Noah to all his appointments, I do bedtime stories, I built Sophie a reading nook in the corner of the living room. I'm learning what it means to be present, not just a provider. Most importantly, my kids know me again, really know me. Noah brings me his toys to fix, Sophie babbles at me while I make her bottles, and both of them light up when I walk in the room. As for Claire, she's living in a studio apartment across town. Her supervised visits aren't going well. She keeps trying to FaceTime Ben during the sessions, keeps asking Noah if he misses Emma's house, keeps undermining my parenting with comments like, Daddy doesn't let you stay up late like Ben did. The court-appointed supervisor noted all of this in her report. Claire's individual counseling sessions apparently focus on her fantasy thinking and boundary issues. Ben Carter found out through mutual connections that he moved back in with his ex-mother-in-law after Claire couldn't financially support him anymore. Emma is doing better now that she's in a stable environment with her grandmother. Turns out Claire's perfect family was just an expensive fantasy funded by my overtime hours. The hardest part has been the healing. Noah asked me a few weeks ago, Daddy, why Mama go away? And I didn't know how to explain that Mama chose someone else over our family. I just said, Sometimes adults make mistakes, buddy, but daddy's always going to be here. He thought about that for a minute, then said, Daddy, fix it. Yeah, buddy, daddy's fixing it. But here's what I've learned through all of this. I wasn't a perfect husband or father. I was working too much. I wasn't emotionally available. I wasn't engaged in the daily details of my kids' lives. Those are real problems I needed to address. But the solution to those problems wasn't for my wife to have an affair, spend our money on another man, and try to replace me in my children's lives. The solution was honest communication, counseling, and working together to fix our marriage. Claire chose the nuclear option instead of the hard work. She chose fantasy over reality, chosen family over actual family, and excitement over commitment. Now she gets to live with those choices while I get to rebuild the relationships with my children that I should have been nurturing all along. I'm not the same man I was 6 months ago. I'm more present, more intentional, more connected to what really matters. My kids have their father back and I have my children back. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you ends up being the wake-up call you desperately needed. Noah just brought me a book to read to him. Sophie's stirring upstairs, probably ready for her afternoon bottle. This is real life, not perfect, not a fantasy, but real and mine and worth fighting for. That's the last update. Thanks for everything, Reddit. You helped save my family.